justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present?
Councilmember Behrman,
Present.
Councilmember Gotcho, Councilmember Brendan Fox, Councilmember Sharp, Councilmember Smiley, quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight. City Manager?
I have none, sir.
Assistant City Manager?
I have none, sir.
Any from the dais? All right, seeing none, we move on to approval of minutes. We got two sets of minutes to approve tonight. The first one is the regular city council meeting of February 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? I got a motion and a support to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of February 13th, 2024. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next minutes are the regular city council meeting minutes of February 20th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of February 20th, 2024. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence, we have one item of correspondence tonight. That's a notice of hearing for the electric customers of DTE Electric Company, case number U-18091. And moves us on to the call to the public. The rules of the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the first call to the public. Move on to city managers' reports. We got two tonight. The first one is the fire monthly report, January 2024. Any questions for Chief? Councilmember Brendan Fox?
Good
Hi,
evening.
Chief. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I have a question regarding the response times for January when compared to January of '23. I see that they were up a little bit, at least on the priority calls. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. On January 12th, we had a significant snow event. During that time, we took 21 calls in 24 hours. So there was a handful of calls that were stacked on top of each other, and we were not able to really respond to those as rapidly as we would like to, just based on our manpower. And then we also did have a couple of wrecks on the freeway, and those response times, just because of the nature of their location, were upwards of 12 to 15 minutes.
I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Given all the construction and the fact that there's no shoulder, there's not a lot of resource or way around for emergency vehicles, is there anything that the public can do to help maybe mitigate some of that?
In short, avoid the area. And Grand River at that, But at the same time, with the construction coming, I do see response times probably staying around that 7.5 minute mark while we try to get through this construction season.
Okay. And then when a call comes in and whoever's staffing the station, because they are staffed, right? Whoever is staffing the station responds to that scene, how do we handle that?
Every call is toned out to everybody, or what's known as an all page. So that goes out to the entire department, and our paid on call members, they respond to the station.
Great. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good luck with this upcoming season.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the police monthly report, January 2024. Do we have any questions for Chief Langmark? Oh, come on, we just can't pick on Brad tonight. All right, you're off easy tonight. Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
got a motion and a support to approve the consent agenda as presented tonight. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moves us on to the discussion item. City Council Rules of Procedure. City Manager, do you want to handle this, or?
I would defer to Mayor and Council as to what
Okay.
discussion points you have for the latest set of documents. The memo speaks to the ongoing discussion that we've had in relation to the rules of procedure. The last update, that there was a newly edited document that was provided by Councilmember Keenan Gotchel just after the February 13th meeting. And we've got the 3 different versions of the document attached for your review tonight. The original council rules of procedure as it was unedited, and then 2 versions of it with the edits, one with track changes and one clean.
Any questions from up here? Okay. I guess I'll start then. Go ahead. Councilmember Smiley?
Just dig into the, you know, the changes that are proposed that we're discussing now.
Yep,
Okay.
that's what we're discussing.
Thanks. It's here somewhere. The 50% threshold for the board, the resident requirement is the only real thing I've got, concerns with. I'd like to, keep that at, kind of where we have it, where, especially with the DDA and tax abatement and construction board. Those are the 3 that this is affecting the most. Just due to the nature of those particular boards, I think, if it's heavily or leans on, more business owner, then that's what it is, and that's fine with me. I would hate to have a vacancy or have any other issues with having a full board or relatively full board because we're requiring residency at 50%. I think was what's suggested in here, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'd like to keep that just kind of where we have it as far as what we require.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm fine with wearing a tie here, and I don't mind if others don't, but I do like that we, get dressed up for this. And I think that's all I had an issue with, but I reserve the right to come back if I forgot something.
We'll see.
Okay?
Councilmember Glenn Fox?
I'm actually fine with the 50%, and I like the way the whole document reads. What about, what if we said, I understand the concern about the 50%, but what if we said 50%, but if we have a problem filling a vacancy because there isn't a resident that wants to sit on that board, then we make an exception? I mean, that's something that we could do to
Got it.
handle that.
That's acceptable. I can agree to
That's my only comment.
that. Okay. Councilmember Sharp? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. 2 things. One, but generally, and Councilmember Gotchel and I spoke about this earlier in the week. I like the way it reads. Some of the cumbersome language regarding replacing a city council member, I thought had been refined. Two things, and I'm sorry, Mr. Gotchel, to bring this on you. Can we put a revision number on the draft somewhere, please? Because I feel like I keep reading the same one. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, whether it's actually been updated or something. Just draft revision. Can it be on there though, so that we know what we're voting on to when we comes time to vote, we'll be voting on a revision number. And the last one was, as I was reading on the consent agenda, the library board minutes, they talk about electing their own officers and their subcommittees, which are voted on by the board. City Council has at least one subcommittee. We're going to hear from them later today about wage and salary. I don't even know how that committee is named. Is that in our charter, or how do we have a process in our charter for naming committees of the council, or? Should we put it in here, or? Anybody know?
These are all existing committees and that, ever since I could, been here for 16 years, so.
Maybe the charter just
Yeah.
refers to the fact that they can be formed. It doesn't have a procedure for how it is charter.
Seems like the library board feels it necessary, maybe we should have something too in our processes. We can look, I'm happy to dig into that in the library rules and procedures and find out how they do it and see if we can tailor it to
We have-
fit ours, because I don't know what we have. I know we have a wage and salary committee. I'm not, I don't mind the way they're operating, but I don't know how. I don't know who it is officially. I don't really see it written down anywhere. I certainly didn't get any say on it, and I've been here 4 years, so I didn't know.
Again, wage and salary has been around forever, and the current wage and salary is the mayor, which would be myself, Councilmember Garland Fox, and Deputy Mayor Resnick.
I
We're
know,
appointed.
I have no problem with that. I just don't know how it came to be.
They're all appointments by the mayor.
It seems like that should be written down somewhere, if that's how it works. For any committee, not just that one, but are we gonna, maybe we have library's got a building subcommittee. Do we need a building subcommittee? I don't know. Why does the library need one? Anyway, I just sprung it on myself tonight as I was rereading the library consent agenda item, so maybe we can take that back.
Councilmember Behrman?
The only thing I would add is I'm fine with the conceptual idea of 50% for the existing committees. I do, however, think the paragraph, in the event that a current Board of Commission presently is comprised of a majority of non-residents, I feel like that paragraph should be removed. I don't feel like we should be removing someone who's been faithfully serving on a committee just because now we're changing our rules to the percentages for it. I'd be fine with the idea that we're going to eventually try to get it down below or somehow have an exception in there, a council exception. But I don't want our hands to be tied with someone who's faithfully served in these committees for years to be like, sorry, we can't renew you because we're over 50% now.
Yep. So grandfather in.
Yeah, I don't know, however you want to word it, grandfather them in or leave a council exception. I just don't want to be removing someone just because, for no apparent reason besides our rules say we should when they've been faithfully serving for years.
Agreed. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Mayor. I do agree with, I support the notion of maybe having an exception in there because I think there's very, very specific skill sets for example, Construction Board of Appeals. We've got a number of construction companies in the city, and those people that might want to serve on that board may not meet the residency requirements. So I still think those three committees, we should allow more than just 50% if the need for that particular skill set justifies it and or the willingness to serve, right? DDA has always been tough, right? There's been a lot of resignations, changing of hands. There are residents, but there also are businesses that are very well qualified to serve the DDA. So I like the notion of maybe a way to find an exception of that 50% rule. So
Okay.
my input.
All right.
And also, just maybe if I can clarify something too, that the section 4.2 of the charter does in fact call out that the council is authorized to create these boards and commissions, right? And they can establish these with the appointment of the mayor, but such appointment should not be effective until it's confirmed by the majority vote of the council. So then I think there is a quasi procedure in the chart for how those are done. It's just not very elaborate. It's step by step. It's just those 2 sentences.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. That's great. I wasn't sure that was there, and it sounds like, so we've established a committee. It's been standing for X number of time based on that procedure. Perhaps we should time-bound it somehow? Every new council, or just assume it happened in the past somewhere and move on?
Okay.
They all have terms.
Yeah.
They all do have terms.
Oh, they do? In the charter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, not in the charter, but it's a separate document that we have, but it has all the.
Oh, who would have that I could look at?
We can get it, Kirk can get it for you.
It's on the website.
The
But I can-
salary committee specifically?
Oh, not wage and salary, it's boards and commissions.
There's only 2, in our own procedures that we just looked at, it says there's 2 standing committees. Of course, now I can't think what they are. Well, but this specifically has 2 in it, so there's more than that, you're saying, and they're somewhere, but we're not quite sure where. Is that what I'm gathering?
I don't know where the wage and salary is listed.
So page 8 of our procedures says standing boards and commissions of council. City will have the following standing committees: Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. That's not really a subcommittee of council. We don't call any out in our own rules and procedures that I can see.
The subcommittee,
I can take this offline. I don't need to spend any council time on it. It's just been something I've been thinking about.
Well, it could come in under the independent boards, commissions, and committees. You know, it's got 6 or 7 different we can administer a committee if it follows one of those descriptions. Councilmember Cacho?
Thank you. I think in looking to first answer Councilmember Sharp, or to speak to it, where it talks about independent boards, commissions, and committees, I think the last on that list, boards or commissions to serve solely in an advisory capacity, is what covers whatever. I mean, we could add a list, but at least my interpretation up here is that it has been whenever council wants to create a commission or committee, we've voted on it and who it is, like we've done. So you have wage and salary, but we also have had the hotel tax, we've got the branding, so there's kind of like project-based ones as well. So I don't know that we need terms for those, just in case someone leaves council, then someone else can be appointed if that project's still ongoing, but I don't know that we need to get into terms. It might be nice just to be provided a list of everything, maybe, but I don't know that that needs to be in here, because I think some will come and go. Like hotel tax, we try and take it up as we can, but our state legislators don't feel like doing anything at all to help us on it, so it's a standing committee in the sense that we try to work on it, but it doesn't have the greatest success. So there's things like that. Going to some of the other comments, the revision number 2, we can go over that. It seems like everything else was geared toward the residency requirement for boards and commissions. And so the thought process was there that we should have every board have a majority of residents in it. And I understand that we have a need for skill-based things like Construction Board of Appeals, for example, and the DDA. You don't have to own or be a resident to own a business in Wixom. So it was written with that in mind. But I don't really see a reason we should be having a board that's a majority non-voting resident advising council. And so we can involve other people in the process, but we're a growing city. We have a lot of people that have a lot of different experiences. If we have a vacancy, we need to reach outside of our inner circles and try to find someone. I know we go to the HOA meetings and say like, hey, apply for whatever, and not many people do, but I don't feel like that should be a need that causes us to have a board that is majority non-resident advising council. Because you could take that all the way and say you have a board that there's not a single resident on, and they would be making decisions or giving advice to council on tax abatements or what have you. That doesn't sit well with me. It hasn't ever, and that's why I put this in here. Because I know this was kind of the moderation between me not wanting any non-residents and then council's practice of allowing some non-residents into things for different circumstances. But I don't think we should have a majority non-resident board. And I don't think we're in a position, going to that second paragraph, or the only paragraph in there, it's not necessarily a removal of people. When terms expire, it's always the prerogative of the mayor to appoint whoever he wants. So if people wanted to suspend these rules or waive these rules to keep allowing the same person to serve, then so be it. That's the majority of council's prerogative. But I don't see it as we're kicking someone off after they've been faithfully serving, because to me, we shouldn't prioritize that compared to having residents having a say in the city. And I understand the business aspect of it and having a foothold in the city and contributing to the city. But for the most part, some of these boards, like tax abatement, is majority non-resident right now. And it's because there's business owners in there. There are plenty of business people that live in the city of Wixom amongst our 18,000 people, is it, or 15,000 people, that we can go out and find someone to contribute as well.
Assistant Manager Benson?
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask a question to clarify a little bit on the resident piece, just for our own kind of understanding from staff. Is there some distinction between business owners who might own their property and pay property taxes on that, or be leaseholders who are responsible for their tax payments? Like, is it all related to that, or is it primarily just people who
Where you go to sleep at night?
Okay.
Is it here or is it elsewhere? And that comes largely from the charter, because the charter speaks to anyone being appointed to a board at being a qualified elector of the city, and you can't do that if you're an elector, if you're living elsewhere. So
Understood.
that's where it's grounded from.
All right, just a couple things from me is, one, I think we should remove neckties optional. I mean, we're only asked to wear a necktie twice a month. We're professional up here. We're basically, operating a city. If we, wear a tie, look professional for the residents. You go on and watch some of these other city council meetings on cable where they don't wear ties and they get up and they walk around and they do all this stuff during their meetings, and looks very unprofessional. And I think the least we can do is look professional for an hour, hour and a half, twice a month. And going back, just the members of the, on the tax abatement board, some of these people on the tax abatement board, they pay more taxes in the city than a homeowner does. So why should we take the privilege away from them and say they can't be on a committee when we're going to let a homeowner who, these business owners probably have a bigger stake tax-wise in that than the homeowners, but we're going to let the homeowners do it because they live in the city. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me about that. So, Councilmember Gatchel?
I guess just in rebuttal to that, and it's been shown to us before, our tax base is essentially 50-50, I believe, between commercial, industrial, and residential. So if you wanted to split that hair, you would have 50% from each community, and we don't. So that's the point of this, is I understand that businesses pay taxes, and that's great, and by these rules, they can participate in things, but at the end of this, the community really is up to the residents who live here. So that's why I would prefer to have no majority non-resident boards.
I think maybe then we should put in Councilmember Grillen Fox's idea of if, 50%, but if there's not enough residents, then, we go with the business people. Because, like you say, we've been to homeowners meetings, we go out and do all this stuff, and we can't get anybody to step in and volunteer on a board. So I don't know why we think it's going to change now, just because it's tax abatement board or DDA or whatever, so. I guess, Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. I still have a sense of, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think there's a particular problem with the balance of resident versus non-resident on the boards and commissions that we're talking about. Whether it be this council or future councils, if they have a preference to residents versus business owners, they can, the mayor can appoint, he can have a discussion up here with council, hey, we're at 50-50, but I got a business owner who wants to be on the tax abatement, that'll put it out of balance, according to, this rule if it was passed. Why not just leave it to the council to try to keep that balance there by putting in this number where we have to, rigidly adhere to? It just seems unnecessary and could create issues that, would just be unfortunate if, you had to say, you'd be a great candidate, you'd be great on this particular board, but it has to be a resident this time around. And why put us or a future council in that position? And I just, again, it's not, it doesn't appear to me to be broken. I don't see why we're trying to fix it. That's all, thank you.
Councilmember Gonchal?
Thank you. These rules are only binding for the council that votes on them. So after every city election, that next council would be voting to approve their own set. So we're not really hamstringing.
If they do it right,
Yeah, but we're not really hamstringing anyone for the future. And again, anybody can vote to suspend these rules at any time realistically. So if that's what majority wants, to add somebody to a board or to reappoint someone to a board that would be in conflict of that, then there's nothing that prevents that from happening.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
I just wanted to add that the charter does very explicitly, very simply state that exception to the residency requirement may be granted if the individual for the appointment conflicts with the residency requirement in this paragraph. So I think the charter already covered it. I think what Councilman Gottschall is more concerned about is the half and half, right? That's what you're more concerned about. So I still say that something like a tax abatement, and I think I illustrated 5 meetings ago how much I pay in business taxes in the city of Novi versus what I pay as a homeowner in Wixom. And I think that you'll more likely get people that are knowledgeable about the tax abatement process if they do own businesses in the community. So that's just my opinion anyway.
Any other discussion up here? So I guess let's bring it back again or do we have any corrections that need to be put in and brought back for discussion at another meeting or?
Do we want to
Right.
straw whole on the residency issue, or are we just going to continue to debate it each time we bring it forward? Because this is debate number 3
Well,
on the same.
I guess we'll need a motion for that, so, wouldn't we, a motion to, yeah,
No.
so, we'll need a motion before we,
Well, I guess I would ask, which items are up for discussion here? Which ones are points of disagreement among council at this point? I think just you need to kind of like drill down to that. And then I think the Councilmember Behrman's idea of potentially just having a consensus vote on those ones that are up for discussion, I guess, are points of
I
potential
think the only two discussions
disagreement.
tonight was the neckties and the residency,
Right.
so,
So those would be the two things that you would have to do some sort of a consensus on. Do we want to leave it as is? Do you want to make a change to it? And I think they both have that particular option. I think on the neckties, it's current requirement to wear that, that this would be optional, would be the alternative. And then on the boards and commissions, I mean, the only ones that I'm aware of where there isn't really a practice by council to appoint residents are those 3 that are mentioned here. Otherwise, I think council uniformly is leaving spots open if we don't have residents that are making themselves available. So I think really it's only those 3 boards. It's just the question, you need to make a decision. Do you want to have a requirement to have a 50% or more, in other words, a majority of members being residents, or do you want to leave it as is and leave it up to council practice?
The charter requires residency for most of the other boards.
Correct.
yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The council follows that in all of those other cases. The only ones that are not followed are these particular cases here that were listed.
So you just want a blanket motion on those 2 issues?
Sure.
All right, so for the boards and commissions, my motion will be that we move forward without the residency requirement.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Councilmember Gatchel?
I guess since we're not voting on the document, I don't understand what we're voting on.
Just for the revisions to come back, so we're not debating it next time.
Okay.
All right. So I have a motion and a second on the floor to keep the policy as is, correct?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Mayor Beagle?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yes?
Councilmember Behrman?
Yes.
Councilmember Gatchel?
No.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
No.
Councilmember Sharp?
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley?
Yes.
5 yes, 2 no.
Very good. Any other motions on this document before we close out?
You want the necktie one?
Well, if you guys want to. Thank you.
To remove the neckties optional language.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to remove the optional necktie requirement. Councilmember Gatchel?
Yeah, there's no dress code at all in the current rules. So the thought of, I like how we do it is just because we've all been doing it, but I know other people have mentioned showing up in overalls. You could literally do that in the current rules. So I understand why it's being done in retribution for me not agreeing with everybody all the time. So it is what it is, but it's petty.
No, I will say that that's not why I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at it like that we could be professional for 3 hours a month, but that's me.
I mean, my
Councilmember Behrman?
take on it is I like the fact that you added the dress code to it. I just don't understand the neckties optional.
So you're leaving the language in, otherwise just
Oh, yeah,
removing that?
I think the language he wrote requiring the dress code is appropriate. So we don't have someone showing up in overalls.
So it's just eliminating the 4 words necktie shall be optional.
Yeah.
Yes. Councilmember Smiley?
I just thought it'd be worth mentioning that in the past, when it's a particularly brutally hot day, in July, August, you will, the mayor will put out a message saying, hey, ties are optional, based strictly on, the weather for that particular day. But that's maybe twice a year that happens. And I hope we can still do that if it's that bad, but,
Continue.
just, we already have a little wiggle room for special occasions, weather-wise. I hope we keep that, but yeah, I also would like us to all wear a tie, except for Councilperson Garland Fox.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, I got a motion and a second to approve the dress code with omitting the necktie shall be optional. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Behrman,
Yes.
Councilmember Gotchall, Councilmember Grenlin Fox,
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes,
Mayor Beagle,
Aye.
6 yes, 1 no.
All right, and with that, we'll make those corrections, and at the next council meeting, we will vote to approve the city council rules and procedures as corrected tonight. With that, we'll move on to unfinished business. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we'll move on to new business. New business number 1 is a recommendation to waive the competitive bid process and authorize the sole source purchase of 9 sets of replacement National Fire Protection Association compliant structural firefighting personnel protective equipment from McQueen Equipment LLC for amount not to exceed $38,448 from the replacement fire turnout gear / equipment account number 401-336-978.359. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Support.
Chief Geisler.
Good evening again. So about 15 years ago, my predecessor started replacing gear on basically a 10-year rotation. And at this point in time, we're at the 5-year mark where we would be doing that again. So this is to replace approximately half of the active firefighters' turnout gear. And with that, we had a small committee put together. They reviewed everybody's options, and we chose to go with Globe, which McQueen Equipment is the sole provider of that in the state of Michigan.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you. Chief Kaiser. In terms of the ones that are coming out of service then, there's really no use beyond that, correct?
We'll still use them for training.
For training, okay.
Yep, so some of the training, when it's not actually structural firefighting or any sort of training burn, we'll still use those for training, let those take some of the abuse when we do different survival training and whatnot.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. Hi, Chief Geisler. Just wanted to clarify, that 10-year, that's the manufacturer's recommendation, or
That's actually put in place by the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA.
even
It's
better.
their rule. Yep.
Okay, good. Just wanted to clarify that.
Absolutely.
It's not 10 years, it wasn't made up by somebody. It's what's recommended by people who know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to waive the competitive bid process and authorize the sole source purchase of 9 sets of replacement National Fire Protection Association compliant structural firefighting personnel protective equipment from McQueen Equipment LLC for amount not to exceed $38,448 from the replacement fire turnout gear / equipment account number 401-336-978.359. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business item number 2 is a request for an authorization to participate in the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Bid Contract with We Built Fund of Allen, Texas for the completion of the Civic Center Playground Project at a cost of $324,700.78 from Civic Center Park Improvements Account number 401-751-986.542. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Ms. McGee.
As you have before you the report that outlines the new play structure, it's replacing the current one that's in the Civic Center playground area. That was built 324,000 includes demo of the site, installation, equipment, amenities, and drainage and surfacing. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
We actually go to the current play structure quite often. It doesn't seem 25 years old. Is there not a use or somewhere we could donate it to? I just feel horrible that we're just destroying it.
The current structure is pretty old. What we will do is dismantle it. We can check to see if somebody can take it, but it's pretty.
It just seems nicer than the one at one of the parks. I just wasn't sure if it could be used somewhere else, but if the
We can
answer
definitely check around and see.
if the answer's no, the answer's no. And then the only question my children had, because they looked at the design,
Good.
was there seems to be like 2 sets, like there's a bigger set and a smaller set. Is
Correct.
the smaller one designed for smaller kids, or is just?
Correct.
Okay.
2 to 5, and the other one's 5 to 10.
Okay, we just couldn't, the slides look to be the exact same size in the diagram, so was the slide actually bigger in the other one?
They're for different ages. The original design had swings in it, and we pulled that out and put in the ages 2 to 5.
Understood. And then the benches and tables are not in the renderings, but they're just gonna go around the site? Okay. And then is it like that rubber that's going down, or what is?
It's like a turf. It's like what they have at Wixamel, at the playground there. It's like a turf surface.
Okay.
It's, actually, it's better. It's more durable, it's safety, the kids don't get dirty with the wood chips in it. It has a better cushioning if they fall. It's a good surface.
So it's not like that rubber they did, like the Scarlet?
No.
Okay, but it's more like an AstroTurf?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. McGee, I support this. I'm shocked at how much it is, but that's the nature of playgrounds. I'm glad I'm not putting one in my backyard these days. 2 questions. The budget item says 387,000, and this estimated expense is 325. Is that all in? Are we going to be seeing anything that's going to exceed the budget in the future for this project? Or I can't remember every line item that was in the 387,000. Are there other items still that we're going to buy, or was that 387 supposed to be the playground and this is it? So we got.
No, the 387's a line item number. It's a Civic Center line item number. It also includes landscaping around the walking trail and some other things.
Okay, so there may be some other expenses that will.
But they're not related to this playground.
No, but we're going to still work to stay inside the 387 budget. Okay.
Definitely.
And then the last thing, I see install. We're not going to be asking our DPW to do anything, right? Not that they aren't capable, but they got a lot of work on their plate. So I don't want them doing this one too, if we can avoid it.
They do, and that's why we're presenting it the way we are, and we should have it completed before the end of June.
Very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you again, Mayor Biddle. Hi, Ms. McGee. Just a couple of little things. I did like the idea of Councilman Berman's, being able to, donate the old equipment somewhere. But I also get that sometimes, it's been a while since my kids have been young enough for this kind of thing. So there's a lot of plastic parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that stuff has a shelf life that you just can't fool around with. But if there's somebody who can, make that judgment, great. And then also, I do support all this. I feel like I see a lot of activity over there. I think it's a, fairly popularly used, little park. And that encourages kids to come to the library and all that kind of thing, which is great. 2 other items. When the new place that went into Gilbert Willis a couple of years ago, we had residents and some organizations, I think Community Bank, some volunteers that came and assembled it. Is any of that going to happen this time
No.
around, or
This is a turnkey.
did it go badly?
No,
Well?
it went well, but the goal is with the DDA funding being in this fiscal year, the CDGB funding that has to be spent this year for the last prior years, the project needs to move.
Okay.
And that's why we're
I'm
doing
glad you
it.
brought that up. That was the other item that I was trying to think of. It's worth mentioning that, the DDA and the block grant, is kind of covering the cost of this. So, we always like to see that, that's nice. I was part of that little, building the Gilbert Willis place, and I did worry that we were actually gumming up the works more than we were, but I thought maybe that played a part in it, but it felt good. and we
It was
liked
No,
it.
it was a good project, but this project, we're trying to move forward and get
This will be
playground
faster
in.
and cleaner. Okay, gotcha. That's fine. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the request for authorization to participate in the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Bid Contract with We Build Fund of Allen, Texas, for the completion of the Civic Center Playground Project at a cost of $324,700.78 from Civic Center Park Improvements Account Number 401-751-986.542. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 3 is a recommendation to approve separate memorandum of understanding documents with GFL Environmental USA Incorporated of Southfield, Michigan, and Spurt Industries of Wixom, Michigan, to implement a pilot food scrap education program and authorize the mayor to sign the documents. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Thank you. Mr. Sickma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we have, back in December, we brought the Spurt contract to you for a renewal, and during that time, we talked about food scraps and the potential of utilizing food scraps at our compost facility. Since then, we developed, with Mike Sapo's help from ROSSOC, the memorandums of understanding that you have before you. These are, it's what it is a pilot study that we'd like to do with the city of Wixom to allow food scraps going into our compost facility. Right now, we do this program, or we have this program from April through the end of November, and actually, 2 weeks into December, we do the compost program, and we would allow food scraps to go in there with that. We have Mike Sapo and Bill Whitley and his wife Adriana here today from Spurt, that if you have any questions regarding the program, we can have them up as well.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Oh, okay, great. One of my concerns on the brochures, the coffee and coffee filters, I love it, but I know that a lot of our residents now have Keurigs, and they tend to discard the entire packet out. My wife religiously peels the foil off, takes the grounds out, puts them in our garden, and then rinses out the little cup. So I think we need to be very, very explicit about no Keurig K-cups in the container. So just my opinion after looking at the marketing material or the education material.
Our slogan is if it grows, it goes, and that part with the aluminum piece of it, that would not be helpful. And the plastic pieces that go with it, they go into the regular recycling, if I'm not mistaken. Or
Maybe just a revision of
Yeah, that's a
what's
good point.
not allowed. Maybe make that very front and center.
we will do that.
Councilmember Granlund Fox.
Good point, Deputy Mayor. I
Yeah.
was thinking about the same thing. So again, I support this. I think it's great. Thank you very much for making it happen. As far as the education piece, what's that going to look like?
So we did put quite a bit of the educational packet together.
Yep.
I'd like to defer to Mike Sapo on a lot of that, because we're still, this is a pilot program,
Right.
and we have multiple communities that could utilize this. Right now, it's strictly for Wixom, and we're on a trial period, so go ahead, Mike.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is mainly, how are we going to get this to our residents?
Sure.
What will that, I like what you've done, I just wonder how we're going to get it there.
Yeah, so it'll be multimodal, multimedia approach. Out of the box, we would intend as the authority to do the mailer, the postcard that you saw in your packet. We got the budget to mail that out to your residents, get that printed and get that mailed. We would also print a certain number of flyers and distribute them around to various municipal facilities and places where folks pick up flyers. We would incorporate a Wixom-specific kitchen scrap page onto our website. And then we intend to do social media posts regularly and also issue a press release. And then anything we would do that in conjunction with the city and the city administration. So we'd be amplifying each other's messaging, and we'd create we have all this digital content that the city can then use. The team that you guys have can distribute it however it makes the most sense. The other thing that I've committed to do in the past in other communities, whenever we do something new, if 2 people are gathered, I'll consider that a group and I'll come talk to them. And so we can take the show on the road and talk to HOAs and any community events and leverage those gatherings to educate people about what can be done.
We have one next Monday.
Well, I know, that's what I was thinking about too, is, so most of the homeowner, well, I shouldn't say most, I don't know that for a fact, but I know our homeowners association has a Facebook page and different social media outlets, so that would probably be a good idea. I'm guessing we're gonna have something on the city's website.
Can we do one of those, what are they called, doodles or whatever?
Yeah, doodlies, yeah.
Doodlies?
Yeah.
And we can do one of those and put it on both
Absolutely.
our website and on social media, so.
I think that's gonna be the biggest challenge. I'm sure you know a lot
Yeah.
better than I do, but I just think about even silly things like, the flushable wipes, how people still do that, and we've been trying to talk about it for years and years and years, so.
Yeah, and fortunately, we have a lot of lessons learned from our experience in the recycling space to educate what people can and cannot do. And we also know there's a natural ceiling to, how much our message gets absorbed. So we'll try not to get too depressed when we don't reach everybody. But, that's our goal, is to touch everybody and reach them where they learn. So whether it's, social media or direct mail or picking up a flyer in the lobby at City Hall or the library or whatever the case may be, that's our objective. Then the other thing, and I think Tim may have mentioned this in his report, there is an opportunity, hopefully coming soon. The state hasn't issued the news of it yet, but we are told that there's a fairly substantial pot of money that will be issued through Eagle for grant funding to address organics issues. And one of the things that we may be able to do is secure some grant funding for I forget what they're called, but they're these little plastic containers that folks can keep in their kitchen, and they can put the scraps in before they take them outside. They're manufactured right here in Michigan by Cascade Engineering, and I've already got some pricing on that, so I even know how much to ask the state for. So we'll be looking at that as well as an opportunity to not just create more convenience for the homeowners, but use those as an educational tool as well, because we know that the folks that are going to want those are going to be the types of people that are going to want to participate, and then we can engage that way as well.
We use those throughout our workplace, which is nice. They're new as of last year, so I think it does help. It sends a message. Thank you.
So our residents will be putting their food scraps in the yard waste, correct?
Correct.
So what will that do to the composting when people put the wrong stuff, in there? How will that affect the composting?
Well, hopefully that won't happen, but certainly Bill can, do a better job of addressing that. And again, that's one of the reasons why this is a pilot, because if you do it really badly, then we can always slow the corner. We don't think that'll happen.
No, I think the messaging that has been put together will help drive people down the right path. But at the last stage of our composting process is a screening process, a mechanical separation that we would pull out any contaminants from our finished product so that none of that would end up in the finished compost.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen, for coming here. I'm interested in this. I'm excited. It seems like too strong a word, but I'm very curious how this might come out. Okay, I'll use the word excited. There we go. Couple of questions. I know this is a pilot program, but does that mean it's never been tried anywhere, or is there any kind of?
So it's actually done quite a bit more commonly elsewhere in the country. There are 2 places in the state that do it now, the city of Ann Arbor and Mackinac Island, neither of which I think are representative communities of a typical Michigan community, so this really is new in what I would consider a typical Michigan community. And in many cases too, when you see it, they've taken on the added expense of having a completely separate cart for the organics, as opposed to the way we do it here with your own trash can labeled for yard waste, or your yard waste bag. We think this is a good step to leverage an existing collection system to divert these materials from the trash can to the value-added process that Bill has, without incurring a lot of expense. And we think that's a really important part of this, is to lower the barrier to entry, remove those impediments, and then begin to make this an option for residents. We will do some learning in this process. We'll learn what kind of participation we get. We have estimates on the volume of material that we'll get over and above what we get for yard waste, but we really don't know. When you look at the range of estimates of what people could generate, it is pretty broad, and we're going to fall in that range somewhere. We just don't know where yet, but we're hoping to learn as part of this, because we do want to use this effort to inform other communities, particularly that are ROSOP communities. There's a big project going on in the city of Southfield right now around this same space, reducing food waste, feeding the hungry, composting better, and we're hoping that project can benefit from our experiences here. And then the other thing that we think is kind of important about this is in the governor's most recent budget proposal, there was a proposal to increase the landfill surcharge from 36 cents a ton to $5 a ton. And while we don't really know yet how much legislative support there will be for that, but for every ton that we can divert from the trash can to the value-added process that composting yields, that's $5 less that will show up on the city's invoice as a new tax. So we don't, again, know if that'll actually come to happen, but we want to be mindful that this is one way of reducing costs of the landfill over the long term.
One other little piece. You kind of tickled this when you were talking about it, but my other question was, how will you measure? How will you know this is a success or it's worth going further with?
Two ways. One is we'll obviously be in constant contact with Bill and looking at what he's getting, and be able to sort of qualitatively assess the material that's coming in from the city of Wixom. And along with that, we'll be looking at historical volumes that we get, in terms of the yard waste, and if we see an uptick on those historical averages. I mean, yard waste does go up and down every year. You get a rainy season, you get a hot season. Obviously, those volumes can fluctuate dramatically, but we have some pretty good data on the long-term averages in the city of Wixom, and we will compare what we get in the future, next year, and if we continue this in future years, to that long-term average. So that'll give us some quantitative assessment. And then I also envision us actually doing some survey work with some of your residents at some point to get a better feel for what they like, what they don't like, and we're really just brainstorming on what that survey work might look like. But I think we want to tie that into some other work that we'd like to do around, gauging recycling participation and getting some feedback on how we can improve that programming as well. But definitely talking to your residents to find out what they think.
Great, thank you very much.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two questions and a comment. First, kind of to do with the chemistry of this. I made a comment in here, or a reading, that in landfills it generates a ton of methane, lots of methane. Why not generating the same methane in the spurt yard? What's happening that makes this more friendly?
So it has to do with the way the materials break down. In a landfill, the material is buried and capped, and so it breaks down in an anaerobic environment without the presence of oxygen. Our compost piles breathe and are turned, so it's an aerobic process. The material breaks down with the presence of oxygen, so we don't generate that methane because of the presence of oxygen during the breakdown.
Okay. It's going to generate any smell?
We've got that
back here talking about
no,
the smell.
we've got that under control.
All right. So that was the first question. Second question, April through November. It's a good thing it's a pilot program because that's going to be really hard to turn that on and off, I think, too. So I assume you thought about it, but we got until November. It's perfect timing, really.
Yeah, and part of that is determining how much of a success it is. This past year, Bill had been working throughout the winter months. He's had people there, so there will be an offer to have residents drop it off at the SPURT facility as well. So we'll have that as a capability, throughout the winter months. That's one thing, and if we do get the containers through the state program, that would just offer another way to bring it to SPURT at that time. So we have thought about that, but that was one of the other reasons why we wanted to call it a pilot, so that potentially stop it at some point too during that winter month.
Well, good. You've thought about that piece of it. Thank you. My comment, it's going to take a lot of behavioral changes for me and my family to do this, because I'm thinking about throwing meat and bones in a plastic bag in the trash and throwing it away with lid on the trash can, and it just goes in the dump truck. One group of organisms that's really going to like this is the raccoons, when people are just throwing their meat and bones in an open paper bag sitting out the night before the trash men come in the morning. That'll be good feedback to get from the residents. So I'm glad to hear you're gonna. I don't think you should think about that. I think you definitely should make that part of the process to get some feedback from the residents how it's working.
Yeah, and in talking to other communities that have done this, one of the common refrains is, if you don't have a raccoon problem already getting into your regular trash, you're unlikely to have a raccoon problem getting into your yard waste. But there is certainly the concern that we have a vector issue. We want to stay, very close to the residents' experiences on this, so that we don't create problems unnecessarily.
That does make some sense. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Gotcho?
Thank you. In looking at the list of what's included and seeing like grease and oils and dairy products, cheese I can understand, but what's someone do with ice cream that'll melt, or milk? Those are dairy products.
Generally, we don't see people trying to compost milk often. It's usually more, it's a cheese or yogurt.
I ask because there's a glass of milk on here. And so I don't want to confuse people, because to me, it struck me as, we don't want people pouring milk in their yard waste bags. That's a bit dumb. So if we could maybe refine the graphic a little bit to make sure it is what we actually want going in there.
Sure.
Not.
We can double check those graphics. From the compost perspective, we can compost any of that, but if you soak your paper bag, we're gonna pick it up and tear it, it'll be a mess for everybody.
Yeah, and that the milk, the things that'll melt, but then the grease and oils, I think, falls into that. It has the ability to soak through the bag, and so GFL will get tired of the program very quickly as well. So yeah, if we can refine the brochure a bit to make sure we're not advertising things we don't want to end up in there. Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Benson?
Thank you, Mayor. Just an additional question about the future of this program. Are there hopes or opportunities to expand this to restaurants or other, commercial operations that might have food scraps? I realize that's not part of the immediate program. That's a whole different kind of infrastructure. I was just curious.
As a commercial service, that's available. SPURT and My Green Michigan provide that as a service to commercial businesses across Metro Detroit.
Oh, okay. There you go. Never mind.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
A couple further, one of the questions I think Councilman Sharp asked about the odor changes, because as Bill knows, we've had residential complaints years past about the odors when the piles weren't being turned properly. But the next question is, has there been any research done on a rapidly decomposing biodegradable liner of sorts that could be used potentially, that residents could actually drop the liner filled with the food waste into the...
Yeah, that product exists, right? So there are PLA liners. It's a plastic liner. It's made from corn. It's a certified biodegradable compostable product.
These are similar to the dog poop green bags, or?
They look similar, they're not chemically similar to those. But yeah, there is a certified product. We accept that product at Spurt. We're actually a distributor of that product.
Oh.
So that's something that we could talk about kind of as an expansion to the program in the future. We purposely left it out now. There's a lot of greenwashing currently in the industry, and if you search on Amazon for biodegradable, biodegradable is not a defined term.
Right.
And so, exactly, right?
Flushable.
Similar to flushable, right? So to some people, biodegradable means if you bury it in a landfill in 100 years, it won't be a plastic bag anymore, it'll be broken down. That's not the definition that we need, but there are ASTM standards and industry standards around compostability, and there are compostable plastic liners. And so that's something that we can look to in an expansion of the program in the future.
Because I think that would be a benefit. Thank you.
Councilmember Gotcha brought up a good point. We have people from GFL right here, right? Correct? Yes. Do you have any objections with this program, or?
I'm sorry, Jeff,
Mayor, Council, Jeff Gomez, GFL Environmental. No, we don't see any objections to this. Matter of fact, we're just as excited as Spurt and Staple as well to be partnering with this. Okay. One of our excitements is that Spurt composting site is one of the few composting sites in the state that do accept food waste. So for us to be the contractor here and be able to partner with that logistically, it's great for us to be part of it.
Okay. Very good. Councilmember Barron, thank you.
The only thing I was just going to add, and I know there's a lot of talk of the paper bags, and raccoons getting into the bags falling apart. Your yard waste doesn't have to go into a paper bag. You can have your designated plastic container that you guys pick up, and that might be better for food waste because you're just going to dump it and you're not going to be concerned about raccoons or the bag disintegrating.
Got to clean that garbage can out, though.
In August.
I don't know, any lawn waste garbage bag can is never clean anyways.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none. I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve a separate memorandum of understanding documents with GFL Environmental USA, Inc. of Southfield, Michigan, and Spurt Industries of Wixom, Michigan, to implement a pilot food scrap education program and authorize the mayor to sign the documents. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, and we're excited for this program. Excited. All right, new business number 4 is a recommendation to award the contract for the annual crack sealing and seal coating program to Wolverine Seal Coating of Jackson, Michigan for the unit price of $1.16 per pound for crack sealing and .095 per square foot for seal coating, with funding allocated from local road capital program pavement preservation account number 203-554-976.393. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Support.
Mr. Sigma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is, we do this each year for seal coating and sealing coating as well. And this is primarily for the roads, to preserve the roads as much as possible to a certain extent. We do this on all our major and local roads to a point. And once they get degraded too far, we stop doing that and wait for them to be repaved. But this particular one we put out as a bid with multiple communities, and we were able to get very good unit pricing on that with Wolverine. We have used Wolverine in the past and recommend using them again this year.
Tim, I'm glad to see that we're partnering with 5 communities, but I brought this up to you last year, and it seemed like the sealing that they used last year, it didn't cure very well, and it was very soft and very sticky for a long time. And then as you look now, we didn't have that rough of a winter, and if you drive through my neighborhood right now, I bet you 20 to 30% of the stuff that they put down last year was pulled up by the plows, and it's in people's yards and stuff now.
I'll look into that. There is a specific quality of the crack sealing that we utilize.
Yeah.
And as the cracks get wider, it does tend to have those kind of tendencies. One of the other things is application, and we make it a point now to try and get one of our operators out to watch them as they do that. And really, that's the biggest thing that we can do to prevent those kind of things from happening.
Last year was the first year for that. It was really strange. You know, I had people that thought there was something wrong with their car because they'd come around the corner and
it
stick
dropped.
and jump and stuff like that. So,
I will look at that.
okay, very good. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Tim, compared to last year's numbers, how much increase is it?
I think it was $1.12 last year.
12.
So it's not, yeah, it's, between the 3% and 4% range. Yeah.
All right, seeing no more questions, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to award the contract for the annual crack sealing and seal coating program to Wolverine Seal Coating of Jackson, Michigan for the unit price of $1.16 per pound for crack sealing and .095 per square foot for seal coating, with funding allocated from local road capital program pavement preservation account number 203-554-976.393. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moves us on, new business number 5 is a recommendation to award the bid for the 2024 pavement marking program to PK Contracting of Goodrich, Michigan for a cost not to exceed $87,000, with $37,000 from the local road fund routine maintenance account number 203-441-976.050 and $50,000 from the major road fund routine maintenance account number 202-441-976.050. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Mr. Sickma.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is for the line striping that, for major roads. We also do quite a few of the legends in different areas. So the left turn lanes on West Road and the right turn lanes, arrows that go down as legends. Those have a specific cost. And we put this out with, again, a couple other communities, and we were able to get this pricing. It's somewhat unfortunate in that we don't get the competition as we do with the seal coating. There's really only one group that does this in our area, and other ones would have to come from Lansing or Grand Rapids to do our striping. It is, PK has been around for a long time. They've done our work throughout the years and do a fine job for us. So we don't have any problem recommending them. And yeah, at that, we just hope that we can get more competition in the future.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Sickma, PK, do they do RCOC's work also?
I believe so.
So they haven't started yet, I assume? 'Cause
They-
we really need that crosswalk at the Hawk's Eye
Yeah.
redone after the sinkhole.
Yes, no, that is on that list, but yeah, they typically don't start until at least April.
Okay.
For those.
And Wixom Road down by the freeway, I hope, because it's it's a free-for-all down there, it
Yep.
feels like. Okay, thank you.
That's not.
Even with the line?
That's not up, yeah.
That's not us.
No,
That's
that's what he's saying.
I-
That's RCOC.
Any other questions?
Sorry.
All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to award a bid for the 2024 pavement marking program to PK Contracting of Goodrich, Michigan for a cost not to exceed $87,000, with $37,000 from the local road fund routine maintenance account number 203-441-976.050 and $50,000 from the major road fund routine maintenance account number 202-441-976.050. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. All right, new business number 6 is a recommendation to appoint Crystal Apocolo as the city clerk, subject to the terms recommended by the Wage and Salary Committee, effective May 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Wait, no, I want to support.
City Manager Brown.
We're very enthusiastic.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. So Consistent with council direction on this, there was a motion at a prior meeting to have city administration work with the Wage and Salary Committee to put together an offer to appoint or have Crystal Opalko take over the responsibilities as city clerk pending the retirement of Kathy Buck that we were informed of, which is going to happen just after the May 7th election. So the committee did a great job of putting together that work and conducting a meeting and having discussions. And we did come to an agreement that was agreeable to both sides on that front. And we have a motion before you tonight to appoint Crystal Opalko as city clerk, subject to the terms recommended by Wage and Salary, and also effective May 13th, which is that Monday following the final week that Kathy would be working with the city. And I do want to say, I think I'd be remiss not to say it, but Kathy, congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Thank you.
And we shall miss you. But we're pleased to have the opportunity for the council to consider the appointment of Crystal Opalko as the city clerk effective with her retirement.
Councilmember Gerlin Fox?
I am very much in support of this, so that's great. My question is the deputy clerk posting out yet?
Yes, went out this week.
Okay, when
Yep.
does it do that? Do you have a?
We put 2 weeks on it, which we can extend if we feel like we don't have a good response to it. So far, we're pretty encouraged by the response that we're getting. Within just a day's time, we've had multiple responses with complete packages, which is not always the case. So people are excited about it, so that's a good thing. Hopefully, we'll get some good candidates and be able to move forward pretty quickly.
Great.
It was also offered internally to employees at the same time, so it was put out as a all users email as well to let people know that it was out there. For anybody that might be interested from an internal candidate standpoint, and then also we basically recruited them as additional recruitment tools for us as well. If you know anybody that might be interested, we encourage people to get the word out. And we're suspicious that maybe that's why some of these are coming back as quickly as they are, because I think there were some people sharing knowledge about that with people. So,
Fantastic. Thank
Yep.
you.
and I shouldn't say suspicious, that sounds bad. That's not bad. We appreciate it.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. I just, every time someone says, you know, Kathy's leaving and her last day is X, and I really don't like hearing those words. But having Crystal, I'm sorry, Ms. Opalko, you know, be our new clerk, takes the sting out of it a bit. Very glad about that we have this transition and how one great person is being replaced by another great person. So, Kathy, I too congratulate you on retiring, but you will, be missed. But not as much because Crystal is so great. Thank you, that's all. I better stop.
Go ahead if you want.
Just as much, just as much.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thanks. I just wanted to add that I had the pleasure of attending a homeowners association meeting last night, and Ms. Opalko did an excellent job of explaining the differences in the May, August, and November elections. It was very, very informative and very well received by the homeowners at that meeting. So I strongly support this, and I too will miss Kathy. But congratulations.
Yep, and I as well. I'll miss Kathy, and congratulations, and welcome to the club of retirement. You'll enjoy it, and I am really, really excited to have Crystal take over the reins of the clerk's department, and anxious to see how things are going to go, because I know she's going to do an awesome job there. So with that, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to appoint Crystal Opalko as the city clerk, subject to the terms recommended by the Wage and Salary Committee, effective May 13th, 2024. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that concludes the new business portion of the meeting tonight. We'll move on to the second call to the public. I will not read the rules to the call to the public again, only to say if anybody has something they want to speak, come on up. You have 5 minutes to say whatever on your mind. Don't everybody jump at once. All right, I'll close the second call to the public and move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we have one item that's in the city manager update regarding the University of Michigan Dearborn E-Cities program that was again conducted in 2023. Wixom again participated in that program. It essentially evaluates 277 communities, inclusive of Wixom, on a variety of factors, including entrepreneurship, economic development, and job growth through data collection and analysis. And each year they put out these award certificates to the communities that participate based on their relative success in those various areas. And that's kind of determined over a 5-year rolling period, if you will. Wixom was once again receiving a 5-star certificate from the University of Michigan Dearborn for this program, which is the highest level of recognition that can be received, so we're pleased and wanted to share that. Good news, and we'll continue to participate with that program as it's helpful to see some information from other communities and also to get some feedback about how we're doing in those different categories of consideration that are covered. So that's something we're pleased to share with council. And then other than that, we have various dates to remember that are on the calendar, and if there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer it or get back to you with an answer.
All right. Assistant City Manager Benson, anything tonight?
I do have just one note to add. You may have seen in the news or otherwise that the federal government has finally approved a budget that the president has signed. Included in that budget that was signed by the president on Saturday, March 9th, included congressionally directed funding allocations, which included the West End Commons area, an allocation for the city of Wixom. So very exciting. I'd be lying if we weren't caught a little off guard. You never quite know how that's all going to shake out. So we don't know all the details of how that will play out in terms of when we would receive the money or when that project would proceed. So there are still a few steps that City Council and the DDA and others will need to be involved in. But I did want to say that just to put that out there that did get signed. So that's an exciting step for that particular project.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. It's a great project.
And I would like to add something to that, if you will, Your Honor, just for a quick second. In the interim, when we were waiting on the answer on that funding offer or funding request that we made to the federal government, there was an opportunity to pursue funding from Oakland County, and that was they were looking for existing projects that were ready to go, kind of thing. So we also had put this particular project up with county. We're having a meeting with the county to discuss that this week to see about pivoting from that and moving on to another project that would positively impact economic development downtown in Wixom. We're very optimistic we're going to be able to work something out on that front, but we're going to be meeting with the county to discuss that, and hopefully they'll see our way there and have something else that we're ready to move forward with accomplished as well, which would be an improvement of the sidewalk along Pontiac Trail between Chambers and Wixom Road, as well as the power lines that are there, putting them underground, improving the aesthetics and the things of that nature. As you know, that sidewalk there is very narrow and very proximate to the roadway on Pontiac Trail, which is not ideal and is a definite safety concern. So we're going to talk about that as an alternative for county funding. So we're going to talk about that this week.
Very good. Did you hear that, Commissioner? Okay. Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. The only additional thing, I was just more of a note, maybe for Tim, for budgeting, is where the water tower is at for possible repainting. It looks like it's starting to get pretty rusty where it doesn't have, where it wasn't painted with that logo of a different company. So I was just curious, if come budget time, if you could at least have that somewhere in the line of when that can be cleaned up.
Very good. Councilmember Gatchell.
Thank you. I kind of had the water tower on my mind for other reasons too, but I know they're supposed to be painting it, but I don't know where we stand with that contract, but I'd be in favor of finding a different sponsor that we don't have pollution issues with to be on our water tower. It's not going to be the city of Wixom, so if we're going to have goals meeting, that was going to be my goals. Otherwise, I was going to bring up a budget as well, so I agree with that.
Stay tuned for the goals meeting. We will be having one before the budget session. Councilmember Garland Fox.
So lots of exciting stuff tonight. Congratulations, Crystal, again. And congratulations to Deanna and all of staff for the gala. It was great. It was a lot of fun, great entertainment. It was great. And then, again, I am excited about the food scrap composting program. So thank you again for getting that going. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Two things. One, I'm a longtime frequent blood donor for the Red Cross, and I was going to sign up for the blood drive here today at the community center, which I appreciate the team doing. But while I was looking, I noticed a company called Natera was having a blood drive, and they were here in Wixom. This was a couple weeks ago, so I thought I'm going to go down and go there instead just to check them out. Natera is a real friendly folks, and they were starting to get kind of recovered from COVID and wanting to do more in the community, hence starting up their blood drives. And there was a woman there named Jennifer McAllister, and I think Assistant City Manager Benson may have had a meeting with her about something, or a group of people, but they indicated they were interested in participating more in the civic events. And I thanked her and got her card, but I really, the reason I brought this up was how interesting it was to go see this business inside Wixom that I didn't really even know was there. They make NGK spark plugs. Their new name's Natera, amongst other things. They make spark plug industries potentially on the wane because of electric vehicles, but they have other things they make, and that's their North American headquarters right here, and they have plants all over North America, based right here in Wixom. So that was nice to see. Also nice to hear from their Director of Community Outreach, amongst other titles, that they were interested in supporting our civic events. So that was that. The other thing was, some of you may have noticed that Deputy Mayor Resnick was not here last meeting, which is really rare because I don't know that he's ever missed a meeting since I've been on council. But the reason he was gone was a well-earned vacation after his retirement on February 2nd from Danlaw, and I was remiss in not bringing it up, but I wanted to congratulate Deputy Mayor Resnick on his retirement as well. We were talking retirements, and well-earned, and I know you're enjoying it so far. Lots of fresh tracks up at Shush Mountain, from what I understand, so this past couple of weeks. So congratulations to Tom. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know you had retired, Tom, but congratulations. That's great. I know you're a busy fellow. You might not know this. Maybe just do more of what you want to do. Other than that, my wife and I also attended the Wixom Gala. It was very nice. The entertainment was real good. It was just one guy when I first got there. I'm like, just one guy is going to take care of the whole night, and boy, he did a great job, and he didn't need anybody else. It was very nice. Well done, Ms. McGee. The food was good. It was good company, and I would like to see that grow. And we'll leave it at that. I did mention a couple of weeks ago to the city manager that and the clerk I'll be missing the next meeting. I know there's a couple other people will be missing, so I just wanted on the record that I told you guys first. And because the only other thing is just have a safe St. Patrick's Day next week. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, thank you for all the congratulations on my retirement. Yeah, it was a long career. I think I've been working for 51 years or something like that, so it's good to slow down, but I've never been busier. I mean, in the last 4 weeks, I've helped rebuild the Youth Ministry Center of our church with my older daughter and her husband, and you'll see me occasionally at the brewery with my construction pants on doing repairs around there. So all my kids have put me to work.
Or walking the dog.
Yeah, or walking the dog. Yeah, that's my duty now as well. But I would like to also be excused from next week's or next meeting because I will actually be on a vacation. The February 27th one wasn't a planned council meeting until the election got in the way and we had to reschedule it, so I had to miss that one. But this is a actual planned vacation that I'm taking, so I'd like to be excused for the next council meeting. And congratulations, Ms. Palco, on clerk position. I know you'll do well. And does this mean I still have to bring blizzards during the major elections? Oh, okay. All right. I'll continue that practice then. And congratulations to Kathy on her retirement again. It'd be missed. Thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations to Kathy on her retirement, and congratulations to Crystal. We're very excited for you. And I just want to throw a couple of dates out there. Document shredding is Tuesday, March 19th. I know I got about 3 or 4 big bags at home. I'm excited for that. And then on Sunday, March 24th, from 1 to 3 at Gilbert Willis is the Easter egg hunt. That's a great family event. And then also a great event for the city. Get there early because it's always a line after that, but it's from 9 to 2 at the DPW. It's the Household Hazardous Waste Days. So get your paints and all that stuff ready and drop it off. And with that, do I have a motion to close, adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you.
Second.